Week. All right, I'm waiting for you. I'm waiting. There we go. The data's being sent. The data is being sent. But you guys know me. If I don't see it, it's not real. I'm the doubting Thomas of the internet. I have to see it, and there's a little bit of a delay, but I don't mess around. And I've seen it. I've seen it. I saw that it was good. We're officially doing it. What's up, everybody? Good afternoon. Good evening. Doing my time zone third. Good morning. It is Monday. Happy Music Monday. We actually got a fun Music Monday story along with some other happenings in the news. There's a lot going on. First of all, let me thank everyone who makes this show possible. Our friends at ZT.com, ZHITEA.com. Their tea kind of rules, and you can get their tea wholesale during this pandemic, so pick some up. ZT.com. I recommend the white Chinese peach tea. I've been obsessed with that. Or my classic favorite, the raspberry pecan. But their tea's awesome. A lot of great smoky black teas, some refreshing green teas. ZT.com, ZHITEA.com. Pick some up. Friend of the show. They supply the tea for Get Your News On with Ron. You know the drill. Our friends over at triageoil.com, TRIAGE oil.com. They make pain oil that works incredibly well. If you get burns, like sunburns, especially this time of year. I get sunburns this time of year. It works wonders for that. It helps your joints. It helps your muscles. I put it on my neck. You guys know my neck has never been the same since my car accident in 2013. This oil really helps it immensely. Pick some of that stuff up. triageoil.com. Lastly, you might be thinking, Ron, do you have any CBD that I can ingest? Yes, I do. Rare Naturals with an S, CBD.com. That's Rare Naturals with an S, CBD.com. It's a type of CBD oil. It's all natural. You put it in your drink, or you can put a drop under your tongue. It soothes you. It relaxes you. It helps headaches if they're coming on. That's what I use it for a lot. It's good after an intense workout. It's good to relieve some stress, which you might have a lot on your mind these days. You really might. It can even help you sleep. However you use natural CBD, pick some up here. Here's the best part. If you're getting your CBD oil, use the promo code Lucy at checkout for 30% off your order. So a good way to stock up. Rare Naturals with an S, CBD.com. Use the promo code Lucy. All right, before I bring my guest in today, I wanted to say something. First of all, over the weekend, some of you reached out to me to check in, which was so cool. And thank you so much. And that warms my heart immensely. Like, that's so cool of you to just be like, hey, Ron, is everything okay? That's super cool. As you guys know, some of the fires in Southern California are close to me. My neighborhood is among the neighborhoods that may need to evacuate. We still have an evacuation warning. As of right now, we're okay, but we're still under evacuation warning. And things are, a little intense here right now. You can smell it. You go outside, it smells like a campfire. I can even smell it a little bit inside my apartment. I do have an air purifier that does help. And we're just staying in as much as we can. We're going out as little as absolutely possible. And I really appreciate you guys reaching out. It's incredibly heartwarming. It really is. I know some of us have met in person on the road. Most of us haven't. And I really appreciate you just kind of reaching out to me. It really makes me feel the community of this show. And that's what it's all about. So thank you. And I mean that very, very, very sincerely. Thank you so much. But what I want to say is, I am lucky. I have a place. I mean, first of all, I have an air purifier. I can kind of stay close to it for as much as I can. Same with Lucy. My wife is at work, but she works in an area where it's not as bad as our neighborhood. So, that's kind of good as well. And also we have a place to go. I'm fortunate enough to have friends and family in this area. A lot of people in Southern California, myself included, they're not from here. So there's a good chance they don't have any family here, but I do. So I'm really lucky in that regard. If an evacuation is ordered, I have a place to go, and I have a safe place to go, and I have a plan, and we're all going to be okay. So, don't worry about that. We're totally fine. And I'm very fortunate to be in that situation. Not everybody is. Not everybody's that lucky. So since today's Music Monday, one of the things I like to do to de-stress in general is kind of strum my guitar and have a good time. So later today at 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern, I'm going to go on Instagram Live. My Instagram is just Ron Placone. So follow me on Instagram. If you're not already, it's just Ron Placone on Instagram. And I'm just going to be strumming some tunes, and I'm just going to be singing some songs. It's going to be a little bit of punk heavy. Because punk heavy. It's going to be a little punk heavy because that's what I'm feeling right now. And it's going to be some California music specifically. So I'm going to be doing that at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. And I'm going to be raising money for Mutual Aid LA. What they are is they're a mutual aid network who is helping people get supplies during these difficult times. And they're also, in particular, helping those who are very housing vulnerable, which there's a lot of that happening right now, and that has especially been amplified because of these fires. Some people may need to evacuate; they might not have anywhere to go. So I'm going to be doing that later. So if you feel like tuning in, check it out. Again, that's 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, over on Instagram. I'll be shouting out my Venmo and PayPal. And if you got a few bucks to spare, please do consider making a donation. All proceeds are going to Mutual Aid LA. To help them out. So without further ado, I want to bring in my guest. This is a favorite of the show, a regular, a very funny comedian. You guys know him. Please welcome back to the show, Mr. Krish Mohan. What's up, Krish?
Hello. Good to see you, Ron.
Good to see you. So
you're doing staying safe.
Yeah, we're staying as safe as we can. You know, it's a weird time. And I know you're not really close to any of the fires, which is good, but I know there's some floods on the East Coast. I know there's fires to the left, floods to the right. That's what we got.
Balance.
That's the balance.
That's fair and balanced, Rod. That's the fair and balanced climate change. That we're all looking for.
Climate's changing all right. The climate is changing all right. So what a time. What a time.
Yeah.
But so first thing I had lined up for today, I know, well, I've seen this on your show, Fork Full of Noodles, that you've been covering the Assange case. Yeah. And your take is that he's a bad guy, right?
Absolutely. I think I think what we need is less free speech and less journalistic integrity. There's too much integrity in journalism, Ron. CNN's, the MSNBC's, too much integrity. Less integrity, more advertising is what I believe is what we need.
No one hears their side of it. No one hears the oil and gas companies take. No one hears. It's always so.
It's unfair.
Yeah, it really is. No, so you've been reporting on Assange, and that's been going on. Here's something very illuminating around this entire case, and we're going to talk about it. So this is a Twitter thread from Kevin Gustola. I'm not sure if I'm saying his last name right. Here's a fun fact real quick. I followed Kevin, and then today when I pulled up this thread, because I wanted to talk about it on the show, I noticed I was not following Kevin anymore. I had to refollow Kevin. Yeah, so I refollowed him. So we'll see if that stays. But yeah, they do randomly unfollow people on Twitter. And I was following Kevin, and then randomly I wasn't following Kevin Gustola anymore. I noticed I pulled up this thread, and I was like, wait a second, I'm not following him? I know I followed him. So I saw the tweet because other people were retweeting it. And yeah, I had to refollow Kevin. So that does happen. You know what? My wife unfollowed me. Well, quote unquote, unfollowed me on Twitter. That's what I knew it was for sure a thing. When my wife, like she was on her Twitter, and I was like, wait a second, you don't follow me. She was like, what are you talking about? And then we looked, and sure enough, she was not following me on Twitter. They unfollowed because she doesn't really use Twitter. So they're like, oh, yeah, you don't want to follow this account. They unfollowed my wife from me on Twitter.
They're trying to break up your marriage. That's what they're trying to do. That's
naturally. Naturally.
Twitter's like, we will bring unhappiness to the Placone household.
That's right.
Via
Twitter. None of this. So here's why I want to bring up this thread. There's a couple reasons, but let's go through it. And there's something really particular that Leon Panetta, who is the former director of the CIA, what he said. All right, so this is there's a documentary on German public TV, and they interviewed former CIA director Leon Panetta. All right, so here's what he says. You have to remember that throughout the history of this country, we have had spies. We prosecuted spies. Now he's saying Assange is a spy, which is completely not what Assange is. He's a publisher. So those couple sentences are completely ridiculous. The fact that that guy even uttered this and it was taken remotely seriously by anyone is sad. He's a publisher. He's a publisher. I mean, what do you like? Did this guy go to a journalism school and go, hey, which one of you is looking to be the next James Bond? And they were like, what the hell are you talking about? We're journalists. What are you talking about?
If anything, the CIA is closer to being spies than Julian Assange is.
Yeah, no kidding. well, they are closer. They're not close. Like they are. That's what they are. Like they are spies.
This
guy apparently doesn't know what a spy is. He was the director of the CIA. He does not understand what a spy is. He does not. I bet he thinks that all archaeologists are Indiana Jones. I bet he thinks that too. Since he doesn't understand the difference between a publisher and a spy, I bet he just thinks, oh, you want to be an archaeologist? Where's your gun at? You must hate Nazis, right? Actually, I do hate Nazis, but I'm not like you realize Indiana Jones is fiction, right? That's not real. That's not what archaeologists do. That's unbelievable. All right. So, and I'm not an archaeologist anyway, by the way, but so here's another sentence that Kevin highlights in this Twitter thread. Assange is somebody who will sell out somebody in his family. This is some more gems from Leon, who doesn't know what a spy is, but directed the CIA for some reason. Assange is somebody who will sell somebody in his own family if he think that, that he is going to get some attention. Groundbreaking analysis there. And Kevin mentions this is the kind of comment that a legal team can cite in their argument that this is a political prosecution. Now,
yeah. Also, he kept his family private. Like the identity of Stella Morris and his kids was kept completely private.
He kept everything private.
Yeah.
He kept his sources private. He kept everything private. Oh, and how many documents has WikiLeaks had to retract? I'll give you a hint. Zero. That's the answer.
Zero.
All right. So here is the wow, just wow moment, which I retweeted this. And all I said in the retweet was, wow, just wow. Ready for this? Panetta revealing more of the game behind Trump administration prosecuting Assange, says Kevin. Here's the quote. You ready for this, Krish?
Oh.
All you can do, this is Panetta speaking. All you can do, he's speaking in the hypothetical you, all you can do is hope that you can ultimately take action against those that were involved in revealing that information. By that information, he just means stuff that they didn't want you to see, stuff the CIA didn't want you to see.
Right.
So you can send a message to others not to do the same thing. Let me just read the whole. Hold on, Krish. 1 second. Let me just read the whole thing again. Let me just read it straight through without interjecting any of my own verbiage. All you can do. This is Panetta, the former CIA director, speaking about the Assange case. This is his perspective as a former CIA director. He said this on TV. All you can do is hope that you can ultimately take action against those that were involved in revealing that information, so you can send a message to others not to do the same thing. Holy wow. Wow.
I mean, they just spelled it out, right? They just spelled out that they're trying to make him an example. Like that's which is what we've all been saying since the beginning of this show trial, since last year when he was pulled out of the Ecuadorian embassy.
For years since he's been held in solitary confinement.
Right.
We've been saying they're trying to make an example out of him. They're trying to make an example. Say, hey, you want to publish something we don't want you to publish? Think twice. Hey, you're going to be a whistleblower inside some organization? Think twice. They're making an example of Julian Assange. They're making an example of Chelsea Manning, of Edward Snowden. And here he is just shamelessly saying it. He's just saying, I mean, they should have to throw this case out immediately. Just that this guy said that.
Not just this, but like UC Global, the fact that he was constantly being spied on by the CIA by basically hiring UC Global as their own personal like spying agency, which again, that's more of what spies do than somebody revealing war crimes. That's literally what Julian Assange did.
He thinks Julian Assange is a spy.
but he's a spy. Hey, I revealed that journalists were murdered by the American military. Spy. It's like, that's not.
Here's some war crimes I'm exposing because people gave me these documents. Oh, you must have spied on what? The documents that were handed to me? I checked them for accuracy. Is that what do you think? What do you think a spy is? How did you get your job? Why did anyone allow you to talk in front of a camera? Oh, because you revealed stuff like this. That's the only value in what this guy has to say. He's actually revealing. He's taking the mask off in case anyone wasn't sure, which if you're not, clearly you haven't been following this case or you've just been relying on cable news for your information. But wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a chilling confession.
It is. It is. And Ron, just to push back a little bit, obviously you haven't seen James Bond Leaky Faucet, which is a lesser known James Bond film starring Nicolas Cage, actually, which is just about him revealing information, and then they call him a spy for it. So that's where that comes. It's no one really knew it. It had a very small budget. It was never released to the public.
It was probably among the more boring James Bond movies. I mean, it probably didn't work out because they were just like, yeah, we're going to take a different approach here. People just give him documents and he publishes it on the internet. And then he just, so it's just James Bond in some big penthouse suite that like that Britain paid for. And he's like, yeah, I'm doing my thing. And then he's just like sleeping with girls the whole time. Because that's what he does. That's what James Bond does. He always gets a lady. So he gets his lady or ladies, sometimes it's plural, and then he's just on his computer hitting publish. He's just like, hang on, let me do spell check. Shake it, not stir. Just publishing stuff. Then going back to the bedroom, and they're like, this is just you guys just kind of made a softcore porn with this one. There's no plot. There's no villain either. He just publishes documents. And then like, but the former CIA director was like, this is riveting. Best spy movie ever.
This is also coming from an agency where like Mike Pompeo was at some speech and he like very clearly said that the CIA is encouraged to lie, cheat, and steal. So like that's what they do against people that they don't like, is they lie, cheat, and steal in order to make people look bad. And it's like, why would you trust an agency like this? Why does this even exist?
Hey, Leon Panetta, what's Sherlock Holmes about? What did Sherlock Holmes do? He wrote for a newspaper. He was the mild-mannered spy. That's how it goes. Another famous spy in pop culture, Clark Kent, a.k.a. Superman. By day, Clark Kent was a spy for the Metropolis Daily Reporter. But by night, he was Superman. And that's how he knew where all the bad guys were, because he was a spy covering the spy beat like spies do. Yeah. You know who else was a spy? Peter Parker.
Peter Parker.
He did his spying through pictures. Also, another spy that the CIA should have been on top of.
Worked for that in the private surveillance company, the Daily Bugle.
That's right. That's the brand. That guy was always angry. That editor guy. He was always ticked off because he was spying on so many people.
I think we're really forgetting the CIA's #1 mission statement, which is kill all messengers. It's a lot of people forget that's part of the CIA's mission statement. It's kill all messengers, which is why they also hate the Postal Service. So, who are also spies, but like a different class of spies.
They're the local spies.
They're the local spies.
I mean, he just says it. He's like, hopefully this sends a message to other people. Hopefully this guy has been put in solitary confinement for years. And by the way, that's torture. He's been tortured for years. He's held without charge. I mean, the way they are cherry picking this for the prosecution is absolutely nuts. They're saying, oh yeah, the Espionage Act applies to this guy, but the First Amendment doesn't because he's an American citizen. And oh, by the way, he's gonna be positioned this way so he can't get to his attorneys. I mean, it is just unreal the way they're going about this trial. Oh, and they're trying to get this hacking charge against him that there's no evidence.
There's no evidence
whatsoever ever happened.
Right. Yeah. And you know, and the other thing too is, so I hear a lot of people talk about like, oh, we need to vote for the courts, right? We need to vote for the Supreme Court and stuff. Well, the Supreme Court in 1918, a year after the Espionage Act was written, said that the Espionage Act doesn't violate any free speech laws,
When
or
it's
any speech.
implemented. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, in the early 1900s, it was specifically going after anti-war socialists, and now it's like we're mostly going after anti-war whistleblowers and privacy whistleblowers is really who we're going after, and
publishers.
again, yeah, and publishers. So it's like it's always been about making sure that the American war economy keeps chugging along the way that it wants to, and then the Espionage Act basically is a bill that kind of lets you do that. It pretty much lets you just keeps the American war economy chugging along without anybody to like really push back against it. So
well, yeah, because I mean, these types of things, they come through at a time when we are in severe international conflict. You know, the Espionage Act happened as a result of World War I.
Right.
And then, you know, the FARA Act, which that was originally intended to combat against Nazi propaganda, that came about as a result of World War II. So these are, you know, these are pieces of policy that came about during times of significant international conflict. I'm not saying the United States is at peace by any means. We're causing destruction all around the world. But still, these pieces of policy just have no place today. They really have no place today.
And we keep manufacturing reasons for them to continue to stay in place. Like we keep going into wars. That's one of the parts of the Espionage Act is you can't say anything about the American military. And then there was a portion of the Sedition Act, which was like the jelly to the peanut butter that is the Espionage Act, that basically said like you can't even criticize the way the military dresses during times of war, which is like a really weird thing to add in there, because it makes me think like, what did Woodrow Wilson really want the American military to be dressed up in, you know? But it's stuff like that. So it's like we have to keep manufacturing reasons to be at war so we can never criticize the military. And if you criticize the military, you know, you're walking on the edge of treason. You're walking on the edge of, you know, being a red or being a terrorist sympathizer or whatever label they want to throw on you.
Yeah, wasn't like the Espionage Act, wasn't it first, like one of the first people it was used against was someone who was like a member of the Socialist Party and worked closely with Eugene Debs, right?
Yeah, his name was Schenck, and he was passing out anti-war leaflets. Not even like a brochure, just like a piece of paper telling people like why they shouldn't join the war effort, because and it was around the same time that Eugene Debs made that big famous speech in Canton, Ohio, where he points out that the working class is basically cannon fodder for the rich, and we don't determine the means of war or peace. Like we're never invited to negotiate peace, and we're never invited to declare war. That's always rich senators that have, you know, connections to private interests. And then they arrested Schenck for passing the leaflets, and they arrested Eugene Debs for essentially talking. Is what he did.
So Espionage Act, great history. Glad we're using it. Fantastic, fantastic history. And now it's being used to commit an atrocious assault on freedom of the press, which is what this entire charade has been.
It's 175 years. Is that's what they're trying to put him in prison for 175 years, which is a ludicrous amount of time.
It's, well, I mean, a day is a ludicrous amount of time. He didn't do anything.
He didn't do anything.
He didn't do anything. I mean, he did his job. That's what he did. And here you have a guy openly admitting that they're trying to make an example of the guy. That's what they're trying to do. I'll read it one more time just because it bears repeating. All you can do. This is Leon Panetta, former CIA director on Julian Assange and the prosecution. All you can do is hope that you can ultimately take action against those that were involved in revealing that information, so you can send a message to others to not do the same thing.
So insane.
Beyond insane. Beyond insane. All right. So let's move on to something else today. So this is interesting. Krish, are you familiar with Trump's executive order concerning Section 230, the Communication Decency Act.
I don't think I am.
Okay, so let me up here. Let me start it from the beginning. Let's just watch this. So I'll give you a quick crash course, but this organization, Fight for the Future, they really sum it up perfectly. So there's the ongoing issue that I know you have talked about, that I have talked about, in regards to organizations like Facebook and YouTube and Google and Twitter kind of being able to censor stuff that they just deem unpleasant. And the battle here is that, well, gee, I don't think a bunch of Silicon Valley billionaires should decide what is and isn't free speech. They're not qualified to make those decisions, so they shouldn't be doing that. And we've talked about that issue on this show. You've talked about that issue. This is an issue that's been going on. It kind of started when they decided to deplatform Alex Jones, which that was a weird, for instance, because I'm certainly not a fan of Alex Jones, but I don't think a bunch of Silicon Valley billionaires should be deciding what is and isn't free speech. And I don't think anyone should ever be deplatformed unless they actually violated free speech laws. So unless they did that, they shouldn't be deplatformed. So Trump has an executive order floating out there that would gut Section 230 of the Communication Decency Act. What that is the act that basically allows websites to host user-submitted content, something like a Facebook, like a Twitter. So here's the complexity going on there, and here's why Trump's executive order is not a solution at all. This 2-minute video from Fight for the Future really breaks it down in an incredibly concise way. So let's just watch it.
The FCC is moving forward with a White House executive order authorizing mass government censorship of the internet. It would put agencies like the Federal Communications Commission, run by its notorious chairman, Ajit Pai, in charge of policing free speech online. The administration claims this order is intended to address alleged bias on part of social media companies. And there's no question that platforms like Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter have amassed tremendous power to limit expression, silence our voices, spread hate, and manipulate public opinion. But this executive order won't fix any of that. Instead, it would punch a giant hole in Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act, which is known as the 26 words that invented the internet. It's the law that allows websites to host content posted by regular people, our photos, opinions, videos, memes, reviews, and more. And it gives websites and online communities the ability to set basic rules and act in the public interest. If this executive order were signed, it would essentially mean that whichever party is in power gets to decide what speech is allowed on the internet. If the government doesn't like how a website does moderation, they can shut them down. That won't stop big tech from silencing anyone. It will just let the government silence everyone. We've seen bad ideas like this before. Politicians from both parties don't really understand how the internet works, and powerful elites are threatened by its openness. But we've stopped internet censorship attempts before, and we can do it again. Insiders say there is significant disagreement within the Trump administration about whether to move forward with this controversial executive order. The FCC has opened public comments on this issue. It's time to flood their inbox and tell them to block this order. Take action and share this with everyone you know.
And so to take action, you can go to saveonlinefreespeech.org. Again, that is saveonlinefreespeech.org. You can find out what you can do. You can take action. And yeah, I think they just sum it up perfectly because, you know, people have gone back and forth about this and they're like, well, you know, what Facebook and Twitter and these companies are able to do, it's not right. Yeah, you're right. It isn't right. But the way, like I explained this executive order, it's the equivalent of saying, okay, somebody has a broken arm. Let's set them on fire. You know, I mean, it's like it's taking a bad situation and making it even worse.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the thing that a lot of people were concerned about when it came to the internet, which was like, oh no, somebody's going to be able to control it. And what if the Democrats control it? What if the Republicans control it? And regardless of which side controls it, like that is just an entryway into fascism in and of itself. because you're controlling what people can and can't say. So if we want to make a joke about Trump and he decides that that's not okay, or we want to make a joke about, you know, Mitch McConnell looking like a turtle or whatever, and that's deemed not okay because the Republican Party is in control, that's a clear violation of First Amendment rights. But again, like these tech companies controlling it, they fall into this weird kind of gray area of like, well, they're a private industry, they're a private company, so they can determine what is and isn't on their platform. Which,
well, that's why. Yeah, well, I was just going to say, I think the ultimate solution for all this is to make institutions like Facebook and Twitter and Google just all public utilities.
Yeah,
that's the solution. And then just have, you know, I mean, I understand we have free speech laws, and have someone who is qualified uphold those.
Yeah,
just like in a real town square, treat the town square like a real town square. And
that would be great.
Yeah, right. And here's the thing too. Like the other part of this is, okay, so let's say something like this goes forward. What these social media companies will do to respond is they will just try to make sure they do everything in their power to prevent a situation like this from ever happening. So they'll just completely suppress any type of political speech whatsoever. Any type of political, they'll just be like, nope, you can't do that here. You can't do that. It's just cat videos and baking recipes. That's it. Not that I have a problem with either of those two things. I like both those things. I'm actually not much of a baker myself, but I am a cat person. But I like to cook, but I'm not really good at baking.
No,
do you bake?
I'm not either.
You don't bake? Do you
I can't. I do cook, but
yeah?
but that's because I don't have to like follow like a very specific recipe. I can kind of eyeball what spices and how much vegetables and stuff I can put into it. Baking is too exact.
I'm the same way.
Yeah, I can't play around with it, and it puts me in a box. I like to eat baked goods.
Right. Yeah, I'm a fan of that too.
But when it comes down to baking, I think I've tried to like bake one thing and it turned out to be a disaster. Because I was like, well, this ingredient seems fun. I'll just throw a little bit more into it. And it was like,
why not do this? Yeah. I don't want to measure another thing. I'm just going to eyeball it. And then it's ruined. It's just ruined.
Done.
You're like, it's screwed up now. Whereas cooking, yeah, you can just, I mean, you know, a couple times people have asked me, oh, how much of X do you put in? And I'm like, I when it looks right, you stop.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
How much? Are you kidding? I don't write this down or measure it out. Why would I do any of those things? Then all the fun is gone.
Exactly. It's like, I know what the cumin is supposed to look like when it's in the pan, but you know, other than that, I can't tell you. So yeah, somebody asked me for that too. They're like, can you give me a recipe? And I'm like, it's some cumin. It's a bunch of these spices.
I'll walk you through it.
Yeah.
Just come watch me, or like I'll film myself making it next time and I'll just send it to you.
Yeah.
And then you can just be like,
way to do it.
All right. So Ron just, the way to make this is you just listen to music that Ron likes, and you just like, you know, put the stuff that he wants in it until it looks the way it looked for him. And then you're done. That's all you do to make this.
Throw on a Bad Religion record.
Right.
That's step one.
Most likely. Yeah. I just read their book. I just finished their book a couple days ago.
Oh yeah. How was it?
Bad Religion's book just came out a couple days ago. It was excellent. Yeah. I mean, the band wrote it along with this journalist. So it was like pseudo autobiography, but it was like a collaborative effort. And I read NoFX's this year too. I read their book came out a couple years ago. But I just got around to reading it this year. Theirs was a little different. The way they did it was each member wrote a different chapter, and it alternated.
Oh,
yeah, so each
cool.
like, I mean, they all wrote multiple chapters, but it was like it would go through the band, and they were each writing a different chapter. Bad Religions was more just like was written in the same, like neutral voice throughout the entire thing. But yeah, it was a great book. It was a really fun read. So yeah, they've been on my mind a good bit, actually. I've been listening to them a lot because I'm like, whenever you're reading about a band, you're like naturally going to listen to that band a lot.
I remember reading Anthony Kiedis's book when I was in college, and like I just listened to Red Hot Chili Peppers for like 2 months straight, and it's a thick book too. Like it was a big. He likes to say a lot of words. Sometimes they're not really words in his songs.
I'd be curious to read his book. I'm not the biggest Chili Peppers fan, just as a listener. I mean, I appreciate them, obviously. Like I appreciate everything they're about, and I really appreciate the musicianship. I mean, Flea is incredible, and they're big lefties, so it's like, of course, I appreciate them. But just as a listener, I'm just not as big on the Chili Peppers as a lot of people. I saw them live once, and I freaking loved it.
Yeah,
it's not like I don't appreciate them. I'm just not. I mean, some people like they're really diehard Chili Peppers. I'm just not. Just not. It's not just something I'd throw on. That's all.
Yeah, the older I get, the less I'm like, oh, I'm really in the mood for, Californication or anything. Like if that comes on, randomly, if I'm listening to Pandora or something, I will. The nostalgia is nice, and I do like the song and stuff. But yeah, I don't. It's not really something that I'm like, oh, I want to listen to this album in its entirety. What's funny, I don't know if you're a Mars Volta fan or not, but Flea has done a bunch of stuff. Flea and John Frusciante have done a bunch of stuff with Mars Volta, which
I like Mars Volta. I've always been. I just loved At the Drive-In so freaking much as a kid. And I finally got to see them for the first time a couple years back. I actually took my cousin, who I introduced to At the Drive-In. We both saw. Kidding. Yeah, it's crazy. My cousin Graham, who's I would sometimes call him my little cousin, but he's in his early 20s now, so I feel weird still doing that. But he's still my younger cousin, and I introduced him to At the Drive-In when he was in high school, because that was like a generation before him. But I introduced him to At the Drive-In. I was like, yeah, you probably don't know about this stuff because this was long before your time, but you got to check this out. And he got really into them. And then, we both saw At the Drive-In for the first time at Punk Rock Bowling in Vegas.
Oh,
it was cool.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really cool. Yeah.
That's a band that I think it depends on what I found is like, it depends on who you discovered first. Like I discovered Mars Volta first and then went back to At the Drive-In. So there's like, I'm more, like my preference is more towards Mars Volta, but I mean At the Drive-In,
and just to, I feel like we need to point this out. Krish is old enough that he could have discovered At the Drive-In first.
That is true.
Krish just isn't that cool. I'm sorry, I have to mention that, but I do. Krish has like this isn't a generational thing. Like Krish is older than my cousin. Krish is significantly closer to my age than my cousin's age. There's actually. He should have discovered At the Drive-In first, but he didn't. And that's okay.
There was a number of years where I was too busy being sad, Ron. So I had to be. So I was listening to music that was appropriate to that.
No, Mars Volta is great, man. But yeah, anyway. So I don't know how we got off on all that. I don't know how we got off on music. But
no, I wanted to mention that when the pandemic started, I don't know if you noticed this or not, but YouTube put up they put up a banner in like the channel studio or whatever the hell they call it, where you upload your videos and stuff, where it basically said like, hey, we're cutting down our staff because we can't like go into the office. So sometimes the algorithm will just deem things against the community standards. Meaning,
you believe that?
What
you just said? Do you believe like their explanation? Do you believe that?
Yeah, no. I mean, I think that I think it was just kind of an excuse for them to be like, oh, if this content's too political, we'll just take it down. I mean, Graham Elwood's video got like in the middle of a live stream. I remember, like I think in like April or something, he had mentioned
they stopped them. Yeah.
Yeah, they just stopped him, and I was like, I
remember when that happened. Yeah, it is the biggest. Their excuses are so ridiculously. I mean, you gotta see the comedy in it. Listen, we are one of the leading tech firms in the world, and we can't possibly figure out remote work. We are the leading tech geniuses on this frickin' planet work for us, but we can't figure out Slack or a frickin' Zoom room. We can't possibly do it. We can't possibly make an intranet so that people can do their advanced coding from a remote place. I know you probably have friends and colleagues that have worked for a similar company, or maybe even us, and you've seen them do their work remotely in the past.
But not
somehow
here.
Technology has gone backwards, and we can't do that anymore. I know you're thinking that makes zero sense, and that's because we're making this shit up as we go, because really, we just want our advertisers happy, and we want YouTube TV to be a thing. And if you're doing subversive content on the internet, especially in the news and politics realm, you're a threat to that. So we're going to continue to mess with you the way we started in like 2016 or 17, whenever these ideas first came to the forefront.
Yeah.
But we're going to have another bullshit excuse.
Yep. Oh, that's really all I saw it as. It's just like they're just like, we'll take some stuff down and we might not be able to recover it just because. And it's like, what are you talking about?
People can't come into the office. We don't know how we could possibly solve this problem.
Well, I mean,
we can't possibly do anything about this.
Facebook's no different. It's like I'll try to share a video from my page to my profile just to like get just more visibility to it, and it'll block me once or twice a week, and for no reason. And it's like it's literally me sharing my video from my page to my profile.
Did you?
I mean, they do that stuff all the time.
Did you hear what Facebook did recently where they're not letting musicians live stream anymore? Did you hear about this?
What?
All right, so I don't know all the details. So maybe I shouldn't have brought it up because I'm not sure all the details either. But apparently, yeah, they're not letting musicians, because a lot of people were like live streaming them playing music.
Right.
And now they're not letting you do that anymore, allegedly on Facebook. I don't know if it's because they want everyone to just do it on Instagram.
Possibly.
But yeah, I don't know. But apparently
certain, like CD Baby, if you get plays off of YouTube and Facebook, it goes into royalty collection.
Okay.
So like if your album gets played on YouTube or a clip of it gets played on Facebook or something, then it's eligible to get royalty from Facebook and YouTube. So it could be a way to like essentially hinder independent artists from making extra royalties by playing live music, and that picks it up and goes, oh, here's somebody played so-and-so song from this artist from your connected page.
So it might be
royalties.
It might be you're not allowed to do covers. Maybe that's kind of the situation.
Maybe, but I mean, there's a band that I follow called When Particles Collide, and they're a great two-piece band. It's I believe Chris and Sasha are married, but they're like up in Connecticut, and since they were touring all the time, and since this thing, they've basically been doing live streams from their parents' basement. And they do original songs, but sometimes they'll do covers, but they'll do the cover in their style. And they haven't really gotten in trouble, maybe because they mentioned that it's a cover and they give credit to the artist or something, but that's really bizarre that they would try to. The other thing I would think of is like they started this room stuff, which is clearly like a way to capitalize on Zoom and stuff like that and have their own version of it. I wonder if they're coming out with another like Facebook musician or something like that basically is like another thing you have to add to your profile or another app that you have to download that's specifically meant for live streaming.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know all the details, so I probably but I just saw some people sharing that apparently they can't live stream anymore, but maybe it's just like they're discouraging covers. I don't know. But
this is all speculation for sure.
We'll visit that later. This is just the chatty part. All right, so here's another news story. Krish, I saved this one for you because I know it's going to be fun, and you're the only comic I'm having on this week. So I wanted to do this fun one with you. We're just going to go right to the headline. Check this out. Trans Satanist anarchist with her "fuck the police" slogan wins the Republican nomination for New Hampshire County Sheriff after running unopposed. So Aria DeMezzo won the GOP bid for sheriff of Cheshire County in New Hampshire. She ran unopposed, though she said that she did point out she didn't receive any backing from the party. DeMezzo will face incumbent Sheriff Eli Rivera, who is a four-term Democrat. She says that she is an anarchist and a high priestess of the Reformed Satanic Church. GOP supporters in the county wrote in another candidate who ended up losing, which I guess that means some of the GOP voted for her.
Right?
DeMezza won while running on the platform of "fuck the police." She supports decriminalizing drugs, sex work, and illegal immigration. And here we go.
Yes.
Yeah. Transgender woman who describes herself as a satanic anarchist. She'll be the Republican nominee over in New Hampshire.
Man.
I gotta say, depending on what type of anarchist she is, I think I'd probably vote for her. I think I'd probably vote for her regardless. But I'd be like, what brand of anarchy are you?
Yeah,
I'd be like, what brand? You know what? I always say that anarchy is a lot like ice cream. There's so many flavors. You're gonna find something you like.
Right. Yeah.
But I'd want to know. I'd be like, are you the more? I mean, based on all the other things they mentioned, I have a feeling she'd be more of like the mutualist, left-leaning anarchy. That would be my guess. I could be wrong. I mean, she is running as a GOP candidate, but I think she did that. Like, from what I saw, she did that just because she knew that no one else was running. So she knew she would like go in there unopposed.
It seems like it seemed like a really good way to be like, haha, look, a trans Satanist is the GOP candidate for sheriff in New Hampshire, which is like such a fuck you to the party.
It's a fuck you to both parties.
It really is.
It's really a fuck you to all of contemporary politics, because right now, Joe Biden Donald Trump started doing it first, and then Joe Biden, the best way to make yourself different from your opponent is to parrot your opponent, by the way. Donald Trump, like, oh, everybody's an anarchist. They're all anarchists. They're anarchists. They're looting. They're these traveling anarchists on buses causing chaos. Joe Biden saying similar stuff about anarchists. Who were anarchists really at the end of the day? Anarchists were all the philosophers who adamantly warned against ever creating something like Wall Street, against ever creating something like the big banks, and we should have fucking listened to them. That's what actual anarchists are. Just so you know.
Centralizing the banking system and the economy was a big thing. I mean, that's also what a lot of socialists said too, is like, don't
absolutely, absolutely.
And the founding fathers were like, we shouldn't centralize the banks or have a centralized economy. Like, that seems like a really bad idea. That's going to put too much power into it. It's like Jefferson said that, Franklin said that. I think Madison was kind of 50-50 on it, but Hamilton was all for having a centralized bank. So it's just like the founding fathers, anarchists, socialists, they've all talked about. And who does somebody like Joe Biden and even Donald Trump get a bunch of their money from? Is Wall Street. Like,
of course. Yeah. I mean, Proudhon, who coined property as theft, he wrote against never have a situation where you're just getting capital and you're just relying on gaining more capital and more capital to make it sustainable. If you do that, that will inevitably lead to oppression. That's Wall Street. That's exactly what the big banks in Wall Street, that's exactly what that is. He warned against ever doing that. Ever doing that. They all did. And we just did the opposite. And we're seeing why they warned against that. Turns out they were right.
Yeah.
Turns out we should have listened there.
And to running on a banner of fuck the police, like, holy shit, like, isn't that the pulse of the country right now? Is defund the police, is to go into more community initiatives, is to compartmentalize what the cops do. And you have both of these candidates where Trump keeps saying, oh, Joe Biden wants to defund the police, and then everybody will die.
And then Joe's saying, I'm going to give him more money.
I'm going to give him more money. Yeah,
he's going to give him more money. He's going to give the military more money. He said both those things. How cool will it be if she wins?
Oh,
that'd be so cool if she wins.
Great. I'd love it.
That'd be so amazing. A transgender Satanist anarchist is going to be the sheriff, right? It's sheriff, right? Yeah, sheriff.
Yeah. In New Hampshire, of all states.
Awesome.
The live free or die state.
Live free or die. Here she is. She's like, all right, we got to change some things around here. I mean, what a first day at the office that'll be. Like, everyone's just kind of looking around like, so your slogan was fuck us. We feel like you might not be a fan of what we're doing. Damn right. I'm not a fan. Here's what's changing.
Yeah.
Your funding. Gone. Gone. It's gone. We're going to completely, you're not getting all the money you've been getting. We're going to defund you. That money's going to go to other things. The remaining money for you guys, we're going to really reconsider how we're spending that. We're not going to spend it on rubber bullets and tanks and tear gas. That's how we're not going to spend it, because we can't use that shit anymore. You can't use it anymore. We're going to completely revisit
schools. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. Well, you know what? What if, imagine if cities treated teachers, like when it comes to budgetary stuff, imagine cities treated teachers like cops and cops like teachers. Like imagine like, hey, we were going to maybe cut some of the funding from education, but we don't want to make the teachers mad. So sorry, but half of our city budget still has to go to education and resources for our children. Sorry, we don't want these teachers to be mad. What if they quit? We can't have that. Police, we're going to have to cut your funding again. You're going to have to get a little less. And, you know, you're going to have to buy your own equipment too. Sorry about that.
Hope you know a gun retailer somewhere.
We appreciate you, but you got to, I mean, I think shootings will go down pretty quick if they were buying their own bullets.
If they had to buy their own rounds.
If cops had to buy their own stuff, I think it would go down pretty quick, just to guess.
Although, we might see an uptick in like sword sales from the police.
You think they'd get swords?
I would. That's what I would do. If I had to buy my own bullets and be like, okay, I got to use these very sparingly, I would be like, I need to get a katana and some lessons.
You'd want to. So if you were ever in a conflict, a real conflict, not, you know, and there was a live shooter, you'd be like, on guard.
I would go, well, I would get a shield.
It's a good thing.
Too.
It's a good thing you're not a cop. Oh,
yeah, I would go shield.
That changes everything.
You know? Yeah, I would get a. I'm not crazy, Ron. I would get a samurai sword and a shield, probably like a medieval shield. You know, like one of those bigger ones. Just to.
I would get nunchucks. It worked for Michelangelo. It'll work for me.
Fair.
I'd get nunchucks, and I'd get like one of those staffs. I would have all the Ninja Turtle weapons. I'd have all of them. I'd have a Donatello staff. I'd have the 2 swords like Leonardo. I'd have the nunchucks, and then I'd have the little pitchforks.
The sides.
Yeah, that's what they were.
Those are deadly because you can use them. You can hit them from the back. Like the hilts are pretty strong too because they're made out of total steel. So you can like punch people with them. Yeah, they can do some damage.
I feel like Donatello got the lamest weapon as far as the Ninja Turtle. I feel like they all like one day Splinter was just like, all right, take your pick. And Donatello was like on the computer or something. So he like wandered over last and he's like, oh, I get, this is just a stick. It's like I keep wanting to say Shredder, but like Splinter ran out of resources. Yeah. He was like, all right, I got like he went into like wherever he bought these things at, like some self-defense store or something. And he's like, all right, give me 2 swords, give me 2 sides, give me 2 nunchucks. Oh man, I'm out of money. I got 4 of them, don't I? Shit.
Yeah.
All right. Let me go hit up this tree. I got an idea. And then he's just like, all right, one of you guys just gets a stick. And Donatello was like, really? I get a stick. And they're like, well, good thing you're the brains of the operation.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
I mean, all you have to fight with is this glorified stick. That's not even that long, really. It's you get a stick, Donatello.
Ron, you realize that this is going to be the new Republican argument against defunding the police is, look, do we want to be a bunch of Donatellos out there?
We can't have Donatellos. What if they have to? One of them might just get a stick. They already have sticks.
Raphael. I know, yeah.
Oh, man.
I hope she wins, though.
I hope she wins, too.
Amazing.
I think it'd be amazing if she wins, too. And it'd be amazing to see what she does. So, hey, New Hampshire, get out the vote.
Get out the vote. Yeah, this is one that counts. This is the most important election.
Locals where, I mean, we always talk about that on
where
this
it's at, yeah.
I always say locals where it's at. Here's a stunning example of that. If you're paying attention to local politics, you may just get a chance to have a transgender Satanist anarchist as your sheriff. And how freaking cool is that? That's awesome in every way. All right, so Krish, I got a feel good Music Monday story here.
Yeah.
You may or may not have already heard about this. I literally just heard about this right before the show. I saw it on Twitter, and you're going to like this. You're a Foo Fighters guy, right? You like Dave Grohl?
I do.
I knew this because we talked about this before. I like Dave Grohl too. I like the Foo Fighters. I'm more of a Nirvana guy. I'm more of a Scream guy. I'm more of a Germs guy. So I like all the, the bands that came before more than I like the Foo Fighters, but I enjoy the Foo Fighters. They put on a heck of a show. I've seen them. Yeah. I've only seen them once, but it's a hell of a show. And, I like the hits. It's good tunes. So check out what Dave Grohl did. There's the photo. So this girl is a drummer. She's 10 years old, and she's a prodigy. Her name is Nandi Bushell. I may be mispronouncing that. I apologize. But she's a 10-year-old prodigy drummer in England. She's fantastic at the drums. Dave Grohl doesn't mess around when he says he has something special planned. This is from the Loudwire article. As part of his drum battle with viral 10-year-old rocker Nandi Bushell, he wrote a song dedicated to her and played it on Twitter. So here's what happened. Bushell originally posted a video drumming along the Foo Fighters' Everlong. So she posted this video. She challenged Grohl to a competition. And he replied. Yes. He replied with a video of him playing Them Crooked Vultures, and the young protege played along as well. So then I guess the girl saw this, and then she played along to the same thing. So Grohl said, "Hey, you beat me. You win." He accepted defeat. And then he went ahead and made this for her. We're just going to check out the tune. I won't play the whole thing because I don't know if I could get in trouble copyright wise. But I mean, I can't imagine Dave Grohl caring like, oh, this nice thing that I did. but here it is. Check it out.
You got me.
All right. So here we'll start.
Okay, Nandi.
I mispronounced it.
You win round one, but I got something special for you. Something you've never heard before. Something I've never heard before, because I'm about to write this off the top of my head for you.
Nandi!
Number one super girl. Best drummer in the world.
Nandi!
Always right on time. Hero wonder kind. She got the power, got the sound. Nandi on the drums, make the world go round. She played out alone.
Dude.
She could play any
This is great.
That's a good tune.
Yeah.
That is a good tune. Good job, Dave. Who knew Dave Grohl could write a great song? Who knew that? Who saw that coming? Nandi. So Nandi's how you say her name. Nandi's how you say her name.
That's awesome.
That is so. I mean, yeah. Sometimes you just need something to make you feel a little bit better, and that's just a fun. He saw it. He responded to it. He did something nice. This girl will remember that for the rest of her freaking life, dude.
Yeah.
She'll remember this forever. And she'll probably go on to be a great musician, I'd imagine. If she's a 10-year-old prodigy who has the chops of Dave Grohl.
That can beat Dave Grohl at age 10.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty. He's got some drum chops, that guy.
Yeah.
Although, let's give a little bit of love. Are you a Nirvana guy or are you not a Nirvana
guy? I do.
Guy?
Yeah, I like. Yeah.
Okay, you like Nirvana.
That's how I got into Foo Fighters.
Did you discover them last year, or how long have you been listening to Nirvana?
You can thank my sister for that, because that was one of the few bands that she introduced me to in high school. It was Nirvana, 9 Inch Nails, and also Linkin Park.
All right, yeah. So
the spectrum.
I never quite understood Trent Reznor, and I'm sorry that that's the case, but I just never. I mean, I got a 9 Inch Nails album when I was 10. I just didn't connect with it. I kind of was just, I like guitar, bass, and drums. So I just did not connect with him at that age. And then I never really did. I got more into, after Nirvana, I got bit by the punk bug and I got really, really into punk rock. And then later, like, it kind of evolved into more like indie and kind of like the early alternative. And a lot of that is still all the stuff I listen to this day. Like, I never really, my music taste just sort of, I just added to them. I never really took anything. I mean, I still love third wave ska. Like, I don't care. I admit it. I'm like, yeah, I love somebody tweet. I forget. I hate when I can't give someone credit on Twitter but somebody tweeted this and I don't remember the author, but somebody tweeted out third wave ska is the music that plays in your head when you're a kid and your mom brings home pizza for dinner. I wish I could give credit because but I forget who tweeted it, but
That's
someone
awesome.
tweeted that, and that's perfect and true and right on. And yeah, I still love third wave ska. I still it's feel good music. It's stress relieving music. Sometimes like especially in grad school, it was like just kind of good unwind music. So whenever I'd like spend hours writing a paper or whatever, I would just unwind to some Real Big Fish or some Mustard Plug or whatever else. And I still love that stuff. I don't care what anyone says. Don't judge me.
If you want to, I will give you two good Nine Inch Nails albums. One's Year Zero, which is
Year Zero. Okay.
Yeah, which is an anti-Bush album.
All right. I'm on board with that.
And with Teeth, that album actually has Dave Grohl drumming on half the tracks.
Okay.
Yeah,
well,
and you can tell.
I know he's done some more like stripped down stuff where it's like actual just, and I mean, I appreciate his songwriting. I mean, I think Hurt is a beautiful song, and I think Johnny Cash really captured the beauty of it. And it, by Trent Reznor's own admission, which I think was really cool. He's like, yeah, Hurt's a Johnny Cash song now.
Yep.
He was just like, yeah, it's not my, that is really freaking cool that he's just like, yeah, this isn't, because a lot of like Trent Reznor, like some of Trent Reznor's more diehard enthusiasts were like, well, screw Johnny Cash. But then Trent Reznor himself was like, nope, this isn't my song anymore. This guy, this is a Johnny Cash song now. Which I was like, that's powerful, and that's really beautiful in all ways, you know. But yeah, so that's a feel good. Nandy, she got herself a tune from Dave Grohl, and it's a good tune.
It is a really good tune. Yeah, I love it.
So Red Pill, thank you so much for the Super Chat contribution. Red Pill, you say, with love from Antifa. Thank you very much, Red Pill. I appreciate it. Dan L. Values, call back from earlier. Check this out from Dan. Wasn't Benjamin Franklin a spy?
Yes.
He sure was.
He sure was.
Melissa H., how are you, Melissa? Done! Exclamation point. I just sent comment to the FCC. Thanks, Ron. Well, thank you, Melissa, for doing that. And let me go ahead and refresh everyone's memory on that URL, including my own, because I actually forget what the URL is off the top of my head as well. But let me go ahead and revisit that thing to give the... Okay, yeah, it is saveonlinefreespeech.org. Again, that's saveonlinefreespeech.org, where you can tell the White House that this executive order to blow up Section 230 is not a solution. That's taking a bad situation and making it worse, not making it better. The solution to crappy situations is not even shittier policy. It's good policy.
Yeah.
That's not, you know, that's just not how you solve things. So, yeah. And again, that's Save Online. What is it? I just forgot it again.
SaveOnlineFreedom.org?
I think it's SaveOnlineFreeSpeech.org.
Save online free speech.
The chat's probably going. They're probably like, dude, what happened to your short term? Pot. That's what happened to it. SaveOnlineFreeSpeech.org. Yes, that is the website. SaveOnlineFreeSpeech.org. And shout out to my friends and colleagues over at Fight for the Future for just making an excellent 2-minute video. Like they nailed it in 2 minutes.
Yeah, they did a really great job.
I mean, I've had hour-long debates with people about these issues, multiple episodes, and then in 2 minutes they just summed it up. They're just like, yeah, we get it. This is bad, but this is bad too, and this is why it's not a solution. 2 minutes, they nailed it. They nailed it. So shout out to Fight for the Future for doing that. Thank you, Red Pill. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Melissa, for your Super Chat contributions. You help keep this show on the air. And if anyone is able and interested, speaking of songs, I do theme songs for my patrons now. Am I as good of a musician as Dave Grohl? No, not even close. But we have a good time and we have fun. And if you're interested in that, patreon.com/Ron Placone. How much does that cost, you ask? It's a give what you can level. So if you're on stable ground, I know it's a rough time. If you're not on stable ground, don't even think twice about it. Don't worry about it. But if you are and you got an extra $1 or $2 a month that you won't miss, patreon.com/Ron Placone. And you get all kinds of exclusive content. The patrons only stream once a week. The patron Zoom show, where I do Zoom show just for patrons once a week. And you can get your own theme song. I'm making theme songs. It's been a blast. I've had so much fun doing that. And I'm pumping them out as quickly as I can. I'm having so much fun doing that. So if that is of interest, patreon.com/Ron Placone. And also, I want to reiterate again, Krish, before you plug all your stuff. Today on my Instagram, I'm just Ron Placone on Instagram. At 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, I'm going to be just playing some tunes, just having some fun to raise some money for Los Angeles Mutual Aid Network to help all the people who are really struggling right now. That struggle has really been amplified now because of these fires. So I'm going to try to help them out. So if you want to come hang out, listen to some tunes, got a few bucks to donate. It's a very good cause. And I'm going to be trying to do my part later today over on Instagram, blowing off some steam, playing some tunes. Krish, where can people find you?
The easiest place to find me is at KrishMohanHaha.com. I'm revamping a whole bunch of stuff on my site.
Why didn't you just do KrishMohan.com?
Because KrishMohan.com got taken by a fan who was trying to help me out, but then they kind of, I think they are no longer doing social media, so I don't really have a way to get a hold of them. But it expires next year, and I can update all that. So since all my social media, yeah.
All right. Anyway, sorry. Keep going.
But all my social media is at Krish Mohan Hahas, which is, so I was like, that's an easy way to connect the social media to the website. So KrishMohanHaha.com, that has my podcasts, my videos, ways to donate and become sustaining members, is all in that one-stop shop for all things me.
Right on, man. Thanks so much for hanging out. Thanks for joining. Everyone, check out Krish online. Check it out, Krish Mohan Haha. Red Pill, Dan, Melissa, thank you very much for the Super Chat contributions. I hope to see a lot of you on Instagram later. It's going to be a fun time. We'll be back tomorrow. Oh, and Mike Gravel's going to be on this show on Wednesday. So I really hope. Hopefully, I don't have to evacuate, because I'll be really bummed out if I need to reschedule that. But Mike Gravel's going to be on the show, and we're going to talk about his newest book on Wednesday. Awesome. So yeah, we'll be back tomorrow, same time, same channel, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. And in the meantime, you know the drill. Lucy says meow. I say peace. Peace.